with Rob Weller. And now, here's Rob.
Whitey Bulger, this is quite a story. This is quite a story indeed. Whitey Bulger was on the FBI's most wanted list for over a dozen years, accused of at least 19 murders. He hid from capture for 16 years right here in Santa Monica, California, before his capture in 2011. Now, a new documentary film called Whitey, United States of America versus James J. Bulger, chronicles Whitey, produced and directed by Academy Award-nominated and two-time Emmy and Peabody winning filmmaker Joe Berlinger, who joins us now from the East Coast. Joe, good evening and welcome to Hollywood Headliners.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit, why is Whitey such an interesting story, Joe?
Well, I'll tell you why I'm fascinated, which is a couple of reasons. One is, it's an incredible narrative. Here you have a guy who was on top of Boston's underworld for 25 years, known to many law enforcement agencies as a bad guy, and yet he wasn't even so much as stopped for a traffic ticket. Finally, the Massachusetts State Police say enough is enough, force an investigation. The FBI is obviously not doing anything about him, and the FBI then tips him off that an indictment is going down, and he goes on the lam for 16 years, basically, in my opinion, hiding in plain sight in Santa Monica.
Wow.
Because I think in the early years they really weren't looking for him, despite putting him on that most wanted list.
Is the government excited about having Bulger come back? Some people certainly are, but there are others who have many sleepless nights about what James Bulger is going to testify to.
Do you think they actually knew where he was?
I don't think they knew where he was. I don't think they were. I think the generation of FBI that would have been embarrassed by what he had to say about corruption had to retire and die off before a new generation of FBI would come in and actually take it seriously to go look for him.
Was he a big time FBI informant? Was that why they were sort of protecting him?
Well, that's the official story, and there is some evidence to suggest that he was an FBI informant. But Bulger claims he was not an informant at all, that the corruption went much deeper, that he actually, had a lot of people on his payroll in the FBI, and also that he had an immunity deal. He struck a deal with the top federal prosecutor in town, because the feds were aggressively going after the Italian Mafia. That was the national objective.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some information that this prosecutor might be assassinated in a retaliatory strike, and Bulger had the power. We can talk about why, but Bulger had the power to stop that assassination, and so an immunity deal was struck. Basically, Bulger protected the prosecutor from assassination, and the prosecutor said, "I'll look the other way for any federal crime."
What's his current status right now, Joe?
Oh, he was convicted, found guilty of 11 of 19 murders, and sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 5 years. But he's 84, so I hope to make it to 84 under any circumstances.
I just want you to make it to the end of this interview. That's the that's the most important. Selfish. Do you think you'll ever have a chance to get in and talk to him? And would you do it if given the opportunity?
Oh, absolutely. I'm dying to talk to him in person.
Have you corresponded with him in any way, shape, or form?
Oh, yeah. And again, he knows my position is that and I think he knows his position. We're not excusing him for his crimes, but at all in this film or in our dialogue. But what made him possible? Was he an informant?
Mm-hmm,
okay,
yeah.
if he was an informant, then even when you're an informant for the FBI, it shouldn't give you a license to kill.
I asked the questions, I got the answers for money. I had contacts in the state police, the Boston police, also in the FBI.
What do you got coming up next?
I'm about to start a film about the band Deep Purple. I don't know if you remember Deep Purple from the mid-70s.
Are you kidding? Sure.
But doing a film with them, and then I have a TV series about the criminal justice system called The System that's been airing, and hoping that gets renewed.
I want to give the whole title. Whitey, United States of America versus James J. Bulger is the name of the film. Here in Los Angeles, it premieres tomorrow night at the Royal. But you can see this film on probably demand and on iTunes. As Joe said, it was #1 film when it premiered on iTunes. That's fantastic. Joe, thank you very much
for having me.
We really, really appreciate it. And please stay in touch with us. We want to know more about Deep Purple.
Will do, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Keep your head low back there with that weather in the East Coast. Joe Berlinger, our guest here this evening on Hollywood Headlines.